touch that peak, oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Oh, I ain't getting no sleep till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping.
I'm hiding all me, so lonely. I'm hiding.
peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Oh, I ain't getting no sleep. Till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Oh, I ain't getting no sleep. Till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Oh, I ain't getting no sleep. Till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Oh, I ain't getting no sleep. Till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Oh, I ain't getting no sleep. Till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. And decided to try to do a U-turn where they have the official use only. Those are little gaps in the highway for highway patrol and law enforcement. And that was obviously a total disaster to even try that. You had a car coming that ran into it and 3 Floridians were killed. This was somebody that was issued that CDL
actually in 2 different states, Washington State and in California, and should have never obviously been behind the wheel. Doesn't even speak English. You gotta, if you want to drive, you gotta know the road signs and stuff, and it's just the reality. So it was a really horrible thing. He, at the time, there was not any eyewitnesses. He didn't speak English. So they got the all the facts they could. But then when they got the videotape, they saw. So immediately he fled to California, obviously sanctuary state. He was able to be detained in California. And so today I'm sending Florida's new Lieutenant Governor, Jay Collins, to California. And tomorrow morning, he is going to take possession of this illegal alien, extradite him back to the state of Florida, and we're going to throw the book at him when he gets back here for what he did. So you can count on that. Now, we are here to discuss something that both the Attorney General and I are going to be pursuing in conjunction, hopefully, with the Trump administration, and that involves the count of Florida in the most recent census. I think most people know we were undercounted in that census. In fact, I remember when the first Trump administration was leaving office in January of 2021, I spoke with people at the Commerce Department, and they said Florida is going to get 2 additional seats in Congress as a result of that census, which was basically the 2010 through 2020 population.
I guess more seats for the state of Florida. I guess that's going to be a good thing. That's my home state. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to ROMA Nation. I'm AK, your favorite guy, and tonight we're going to go through the week's underrated stories on Roma Rants, then some updates on the accident in Florida that killed 3 people, then figure out how did they get licenses in the first place. So sit back and relax as ROMA Nation starts now.
I'm hiding of you, so lonely. I'm hiding of you, so lonely.
What's going on, folks? Again, welcome to ROMA Nation. Before we get started, please go to riseofmiddleamerica.com and check out our lineup of podcasts from history to news, pop culture, true crime, now sports, and then we're going to have a conspiracy show coming in next week. So we got a show for all your needs. We also got a Discord where all the magic happens for ROMA Nation. You want to be a podcast host, producer, researcher, or writer for us, this is the only place where you can be a part of the fastest growing podcast community on the net. At the top of the page are links with all of our socials, and down at the bottom, our merch. Let's see if it works this time. And hey, so there's all of our merch. We got the Facts and Sass tee, Weaponize Your Autism, allegedly, from Sunset Rants. All of the Sunset Rants ones that we've got for Caption This, we've got those here as well. ROMA Nation. We got hats. We got backpacks. We got everything for all your needs. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't miss a moment of the action. What should we rant about today? Let's go. All right, guys, so this is from The Hill. Administration Ukraine, President Zelensky says that Ukraine wants everything as far as U.S. security guarantees. Campaign Speaker Mike Johnson vows to fight California's Democrats' illegal power grab House Bill Barr. Deposition kicks off the House GOP Epstein probe. national security, Mississippi joining 3 other GOP-led states sending the National Guard troops to D.C. with a hurricane. But today, we're going to focus on President Zelensky as soon as these commercials are done. All right. So, Zelensky met with President Trump alongside a group of European leaders who flew to show support and press firm U.S.-European security guarantees for Ukraine. Their objectives, the talk centered on jump-starting a path to the Russia-Ukraine war, including discussions of security guarantees for Kiev if any deal moves forward. All right. So, but the thing is that Trump said that he's working to arrange a direct summit between Putin and Zelensky following Monday's meetings. During the White House session, Trump reportedly paused to place a call to Vladimir Putin, underscoring his push to broker talks. I mean, I don't know if anybody else has ever done that. So that's pretty big right now. So despite earlier tensions this year, Monday's encounter was very cordial. Zelensky publicly praised Trump efforts, spoke warmly at the top of the meeting, unlike, the last meeting that they had. But what still isn't settled, right? No formal ceasefire. We've seen some bombings happen last week. One happened earlier this week. Binding guarantees that were announced, details of any security framework and Europe's role to remain hammered out. Now, this is important because you had the summit out in Alaska. And the main thing here is we don't need to be brought into another world war. But it seems like more than others, there are certain countries that really want this war to happen. And as long as Trump is in office, I don't think this is going to happen unless somebody does something extremely stupid. So let's think about the broader context, right? The White House sessions followed with the meeting with Putin in Alaska. Like I said, analysts said that this week's diplomacy shifted momentum, but left big questions of enforcement and leverage over Moscow. Well, Putin runs Russia, and Moscow is his capital. So, of course, he's going to have the best interest of Russia, just like how President Trump is going to have the best interest in the United States. And the best interest right now is no new foreign wars. I think that the voters here in the United States were very clear on that, and that was the mandate that was given to President Trump. So let's see what happens, shall we? All right. That story was from Monday. Now from Tuesday, this is from First Post. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's pretty devastating. So if you guys didn't know, there was widespread devastation from flash floods and landslides in Pakistan. And there was torrential monsoon rains, especially sudden cloud bursts that triggered flash floods and landslides across northern and southern Pakistan, leaving entire villages wiped out. So the rising death toll right now is over 700, but I'm pretty sure it's higher than that. This was as of yesterday. So as of today, as the cleanup efforts go through, KP was the hardest hit with over 427 deaths, followed by Punjab, Azad Kashmir, Sindh, and Balochistan. So the burner alone has seen around 200 to 207 confirmed deaths from the flash floods and landslides. Many are missing as entire communities were swept away. Authorities reported over 25,000 individuals rescued, yet hundreds remain unaccounted for, kind of similar to what we had in North Carolina, right? Because in North Carolina, the heavy terrain and a lot of the dams or at least one of the dams that ended up breaking and causing widespread havoc everywhere. We all know that was definitely an issue, but at least we have the resources to fix that. Whereas in Pakistan and some of these small villages, there are no resources. Or I mean, maybe their federal government would have the ability to do that, but their terrain is definitely a lot more rocky than ours, right? So Karachi also experienced record-breaking rainfall, 178 millimeters. So you guys can do the translation in that, but in some areas causing widespread flooding that killed at least 7 people and left the city's infrastructure paralyzed. But now there's a flood response that's underway. About 70% of electricity has been restored, roads have been cleared, military and relief teams are delivering aid, medicine, and rescues via helicopters. However, officials face criticism of inadequate advance warning, particularly in those rural areas. Again, like I said, in North Carolina, even though we seem to have the best resources available, those rural areas are very hard to get to, especially when you have mountainous terrains, right? Some people are saying that it's global warming. Some people are saying it's just monsoon patterns. It's normal, whatnot. I mean, you can go ahead and take your guess on what you think that is. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to NBC News. On Wednesday, a Trump ally fighting for criminal investigations of Obama, Biden, and Clinton. For years, Mike Davis, you guys know that name, has called for probes into what he calls the greatest conspiracy in American history. New investigations approved by Attorney General Pam Bondi have raised his hopes. For 3 years, Mike Davis, Republican lawyer and former legal counsel to Senator Chuck Grassley, has pushed for federal criminal investigations of Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and senior FBI and CIA and Justice Department officials. Now, a series of recent investigations approved by Attorney General Pam Bondi suggests to Davis that his long-sought goal is most likely approaching. Bondi this month approved 2 federal criminal investigations of New York City Attorney General Letitia James and one of Senator Adam Schiff. We saw that one coming. Bondi also instructed an unnamed federal prosecutor to begin a grand jury investigation of whether the Obama administration officials committed federal crimes when they assessed Russia's actions during the 2016 election. All right, so number 1, who is Mike Davis? If you guys watch Benny Johnson, you definitely know who Mike Davis is, right? He's a conservative lawyer, former chief counsel nominations. You already know that with Chuck Grassley, head of Article 3 Project, and known as a staunch Trump ally and political provocateur. But what is he pushing for, right? Because he's advocated in the past federal criminal investigations into former presidents Barack Obama and Joe Biden, as well as former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Recently, Pam Bondi approved that grand jury probe, and it was demanded by him, and I guess he's going to get it. So I guess we're going to see what's going to come out of that, because a lot of people have a lot of questions. Davis labels the Russia probe and the other actions by Obama-era officials part of a treasonous conspiracy aligned with claims from Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, you guys know her, demands that several legal, political, and financial consequences for what he views as unprecedented weaponization of government power. But of course, the Democrats are going to push back, right? Because figures across the Democratic Party have dismissed these allegations as politically motivated, arguing the real intent is deflect from Trump's controversies, such as the Epstein-related files, which, by the way, he's not in, newsflash. Meanwhile, legal experts call the claims baseless distractions with no real substance of law. And going back to that claim about the Epstein files, I can almost bet my bottom dollar. Maybe his name is in there. But I've yet to see a look of evidence of him being on the island. I'm sorry. I mean, if it was, it would have been out by now. Regardless of what other court cases or sealed indictments or whatnot, it would have gotten out somehow. All right. Now, why does this matter? All right. Because you got legal obstacles, including presidential immunity and statute of limitations. Davis counters this by calling the alleged conspiracy ongoing and therefore outside the scope of immunity. Many legal scholars consider his claims to be outrageous, even though they've been used against people before. But what about shifting political norms, right? Because Davis's push reflects a trend where former presidents increasingly become targets of legal scrutiny, treated as fair game by political opponents. Because it's somewhat eroding norms of restraint, right? Utilizing investigations as partisan tools, well, the risks are undermining the perceived independence of the Department of Justice. But I guess it also depends on who's in the Department of Justice as well. Could be political theater. Even if cases don't go anywhere, they carry reputational damage and fuel further partisan division and distrust, because it's clear that the American people are sick and tired of this crap. And what type of reciprocal risks are they doing? If one politicizes investigations, can invite tit for tat responses where the administration takes over, potentially destabilizing norms of presidential immunity. And then Congress is going to have to come in and start, setting some roadblocks. Is that something that we want? Is that something that we're going to have to do? I guess we're going to find out. What do we got here? Hey, Elizabeth, what's going on? That's right, we got Taylor in the house. Taylor Loren's ex-wife. You know who she is. Producer of The Drive-In. Hardy Harmonica, what's going on? I want to say hi to my peeps real quick. Look at that. The Funk Master General. Good evening to you, sir. Cynthia, how are you? I haven't seen you on in a while. All right, so let's go ahead and move into Thursday's story. See if I can get that up here for you guys. All right, so the New York Court of Appeals throws out the $500 million penalty against Trump in Letitia James' civil case. We all knew this was going to happen. Like, this is just... How should I say this? Judges have a fiduciary duty to make sure that your due process rights are met, regardless of how they feel, whether they're left or right or in the center, which they're supposed to be, hands off when it comes to that stuff. But, nowadays, who knows? But if you look at things like Alex Jones, the situation he went through, when you look at January Sixers, which I had the luxury of talking with at the beginning of the year here on ROMA Nation, you have to have due process. You have to have all the information, right? They have every God-given right to have that information. But a lot of things are just being left out because, quite frankly, they just felt like he was going to be gone in the first place, which is the reason why, when you look at, all the attacks that he had during his campaign trail, when you look at the 2 assassination attempts, when you look at the smearing, I mean, it's just like most people have pretty much caught on to what's going on, whether you like him or not, right? So An appellate court has thrown out the $500 million civil fraud penalty case against President Donald Trump in the high-profile case brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James. The New York Appellate Division overturned the penalty, ruling the disgorgement was an excessive fine that violates the Eighth Amendment. The 5-member panel all upheld findings that Trump and his company were liable, affirming that James acted within her authority and that the injunctive relief to curb Trump's organization practices was appropriate, which I still think is, subjective, to say the least. The ruling leaves liability intact, but eliminates the massive financial penalty of $364 million plus interest, which rises to about $500 million. Trump took to Truth Social to declare a total victory and rail against James and the original trial judge, Arthur Engoron. James claimed to win too, noting that the appeals court upheld the findings and fraud and restrictions of Trump's business, and she pledged to appeal the penalty decision. Right? So, restrictions imposed by the trial court, such as barring Trump and his son in the leadership roles in New York-based companies, remain paused during the appeals process, but have not been overturned, which is very important, because that's where they made their fortune, was in New York. There's an injunctive restrictions on business that's still intact for now. The restrictions imposed by the trial court, such as barring Trump and his sons from leadership roles, based companies, remain paused. The appellate division decision came from a divided 5-judge panel, which offered multiple concurring and dissenting opinions, but no single majority opinion on all points. Some judges questioned the fine severity despite the underlying fraud ruling. But Trump sees it as a total victory, which, tomato, tomato. Because calling it a complete dismissal of a politically motivated case, his legal team emphasized that the fine was stolen through a fake case. Attorney General Letitia James framed the ruling as a partial win, given that the fraud findings remain enforceable, but expected to take the case to New York's highest court in the Court of Appeals. Now, what I really want to know is how does this fare for other companies in the state of New York? Because if there's no guidelines as to what is considered, criminal and what's not, based on the information that's given, if you so much as sell a hot dog, you can pretty much be under investigation. Where are the protections for businesses in that right? Right? Because the legal precedent is that the decision underscores constitutional limits on financial penalties, even when fraud is established. But my question is, what is the establishment of fraud? If both the banks and both parties with Trump all agreed to something, he paid it back in full with interest, and nobody complained, and nobody was hurt during that process, how is that possible? It almost reminds me of, when they say, hey, you're oppressed because you're black. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm doing everything that I love. And they're like, no, you are oppressed. You just don't know it yet. Is that what AGs have the power to do now? Didn't the same thing happen during the Andrew Tate trials over in Europe? The lover boy method, where it's like, oh, you just don't know you were under his spell. Like, really? But the judicial optics, fragmented ruling with no consensus highlights tensions in how politically sensitive cases are handled by courts. I guess it just depends on what type of judge that you get and what rules they implement in their court. Because the political impact is that Trump continues his presidency and faces multiple legal battles. This outcome offers both legal relief and political spin, affecting the public perception in the future litigation strategies. So what happens when he gets out? At what point do you, is this going to stop now? Or, is this going to be a political strategy from here on out? I mean, nobody knows at this point. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Roma Rants. All right, on to segment 2, Constitutional Corner, the MAP Act. All right. We're going to peel back the layers, an issue that has become a flashpoint in trucking, immigration, and public safety. Immigrant truck drivers in the process of getting a commercial driver's license or a CDL. Now, on the surface, this might sound dirty, bureaucratic story about training requirements, but it goes much deeper than that, because this is about who gets to drive massive 18-wheelers across our highways, what laws are in place to ensure that they're qualified, and what happens when those laws are ignored or abused. Well, we'll start with the Biden administration's entry-level driver training rules, which put new requirements in place for anyone trying to obtain a CDL. The intent is simple, all right? Keep the road safe and standardize training. But like any law, there's ways to play around it. The ground spark both reforms and controversies. All right. So let's look at the darker side of the industry. All right. The rise of CDL mills. All right. These are schools that churn out licenses for a profit, sometimes skirting safety standards and cutting corners. And when undertrained drivers hit the road, results can be pretty bad. Right. And they can be deadly. For immigrants, the path to earning a CDL is even more complicated. They must navigate work permits, state laws, and federal training requirements. But in recent years, gaps in oversight and loopholes in state licensing have allowed some drivers through the system without proper vetting, raising alarm bells to higher profile crashes. All right. So let's dig into the controversy surrounding these CDL mills, including the FBI bust of fraudulent licensing schemes, and look at how these practices ripple out into everyday safety for families on the highway. We'll highlight several tragic headlines, stories of accidents tied directly to drivers who couldn't even read the road signs that they were supposed to follow. And finally, we'll ask, what's being done about it? From the Biden administration's training mandates to the Trump administration's new executive orders requiring English proficiency, both sides have put forward solutions. But the question remains, are these measures enough or just political theater? All right. So let's buckle up, guys, because we're not just talking about trucks. We're talking about how law, immigration, and safety colliding at full speed. This is Constitutional Corner. All right, so what statute did Biden pass that requires you to take a class to get your CDL? Now, under federal law, the entry-level driver training, or ELDT regulations, mandate training for these seeking a new upgraded CDL or endorsements. These were introduced with the Moving Ahead for Progress in the 21st Century Act. That is a tongue twister, or what they call MAP 21. All right, so this is from FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. On July 6, 2012, President Obama signed into law a new 2-year transportation reauthorization bill and the move for the MAP 21. This new law includes many important provisions intended to help Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration and its important mission to reduce crashes, injuries, or fatalities involving large trucks and buses. Many of the provisions of MAP 21 track the agency's strategic framework to improve commercial motor vehicle safety by supporting 3 core principles. Number 1, raising the bar to enter the industry and operate on our roads. Number 2, hold motor carrier and drivers to the highest safety standards and continue operations. And number 3, remove the highest risk drivers, vehicles, and carriers from our roads and preventing them from operating. Well, it doesn't sound like that's happening right now, right? Because the ELDT requires both theory and behind-the-wheel instruction before taking knowledge or skills tests. Additionally, under the bipartisan infrastructure law, the Biden-Harris administration allocated significant federal funding, approximately $48 million, to expand and improve CDL driver training programs. Excuse me. Long day. These investments, they aim to bolster the national supply chain and tracking. They also streamline CDL assurances and make training more accessible and standardized as opposed to informational or substandard programs. All right. So to understand, now that you understand what that is, what exactly is a CDL mill? We've got this perfect guy here to explain it for us. So let's go.
The term CDL school mills is used in the trucking industry, and that refers to some CDL schools that the priorities is more about profit over quality training. These schools are often criticized for turning out large numbers of CDL students with the minimum amount of training rather than providing these students with comprehensive instructions and hands-on experience that would greatly benefit these CDL students when they go out and get a job. There's enough pressure. These students are facing enough pressure as it is just to get their CDL license, and then just to add on more pressure because they wasn't trained on how to alley dock or defensive driving and so much more. So that's what a CDL school mill, when we talk about the term.
Right. Because these facilities may exploit applicants by delivering fast, impersonal, and insufficient instruction to push through exam-ready students, especially with the underwriting training requirements. But the Track Safety Coalition has called for fixes, such as requiring that CDL tests be taken in the driver's state of domicile and implementing a minimum behind-the-wheel training requirement to prevent such schemes. So meaning possibly riding with another driver for X amount of hours, maybe 100 hours, maybe 500 hours. I mean, maybe 100 hours is, 500 is a little excessive. 100 hours is probably good enough because that's just one road trip across the U.S. and back. Right? Being able to read road signs, being able to understand what happens when you're going downhill and your brakes fail, and how do you stop yourself, right? Because a lot of these trucks are carrying cargo, but what about oil tankers, right? You know, you're going downhill and your brakes fail, you have to think fast or everybody's dead. On top of that, you can even worse, you can start wildfires, things like that. What exactly do you do? Thank you, AK. I'm AK. How you doing? All right, 2022, India had 450,000 reported accidents, responsible for 155,000 sick. Jesus! What's going on, India? Oh my God! Whew. We're going to become India pretty soon if we don't figure out what's going on. But India is not the only country that's having this issue, right? What about Canada? Because this is from Such As Life on X. Let me blow this up for you guys. Whoops. Get you over here. There we go. And to add insult to injury, notice below the no U-turn sign with the few feet, and when it's illegal, immigrant tried to do exactly that. Another truck driver in Canada just pulled the same stunt. CBC goes undercover to show how they are receiving falsified licenses. I suspect Trump's ICE may set up a shop checking at the drivers in the truck inspection locations situated alongside the highways and possibly the borders. If this occurs, the operations and trucking firms will be immediately impacted and becoming short-staffed.
So we got some breaking news. The Florida U-turn driver that made the U-turn in the middle of the interstate, come to find out, this dude right here, he's an ILLEGAL immigrant, okay, with a CDL license. Man, you know they about to start cracking down, right? You know they about to. All it takes is one national news story like this right here. They about to start cracking down at them weigh stations. They about to start checking off everything. They about to start checking everybody. I just truly believe that right there.
Absolutely.
But they say this dude right here entered the country the wrong way. And when he entered the country the wrong way, he came through Mexico. And, man, it's just a sad situation, man. Them 3 souls are lost.
Now, I'm not exactly sure how he got into the country, but he did somehow. And, you know, I don't want to say that they can't come into this country to have a better living, right? Because a lot of people want that. But when you just open the borders and allow people to come in, and to go into these sanctuary states, to go into these sanctuary cities where they skew all the regulations just to get these people into different jobs on the road, into nursing homes, into cleaning facilities, into, you know, into fields and farms, things like that. Things like this are bound to happen. It's only happening now because people are starting to cover it. Independent media is starting to cover it because they're sick and tired of the mainstream media's lies and their misinformation. I mean, that's just sad. I feel for that family. I feel for everybody that knows them. But look at this.
ਲਾਇਸੈਂਸ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਚੱਕਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਲਾਇਸੈਂਸ ਦਾ ਕਾਗਜ਼ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਾਗਜ਼ ਦਾ ਟੁਕੜਾ ਚਲਾਉਣੀ ਤਾਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਆ ਇਹਨੇ ਚੱਕਣਾ ਕਿਸ
Don't mind the music. But this here is a driving school, okay? And this is how easy it is for this to happen.
Driving school?
It starts in training yards like this one.
Yeah, I'm looking to get my license.
We come with hidden cameras after hearing we might be offered some shortcuts.
When can I start? Today?
Proper training can cost more than $10,000, but here they're charging half that.
4,500. 4,500? Yeah, with the 2 drives.
In 4,000, 2-time road test is included.
4,500 for everything.
These schools offer a program called MELT, Mandatory Entry-Level Training. Ontario is the first in North America to set it up. Anyone who wants to drive a tractor-trailer has to take at least 103.5 hours of training before they can take a road test. But we're hearing we may not need that many hours.
103 hours completed, it doesn't matter you are completed or not. Maybe you will ready in 90 hours, doesn't matter.
A third of the time is supposed to be spent in a separate classroom learning theory. Not here.
No in class. No need for in the class. Okay. No theory, nothing. No.
Before your road test, I will train you 100% for everything.
Everything is here.
Everything is here.
Any classroom or anything?
Classroom, I will cover everything here.
Another no-no is called training to the test.
Yep.
You have the test in, suppose Peterborough. From the very first day when the test is booked, you can go with the S-back.
The S-back is a way to reverse a truck. Different drive test centers ask for different backing maneuvers. So that's what you're taught to pass, instead of real-world driving skills.
You have the test in, suppose, Humor. They are doing the C-back. So, C-back. Very good.
Sure seems like training to the test.
Mostly they use the L-back. Okay.
People who teach at trucking schools in Ontario need no special instructor license. They do if they teach at a regular driving school.
Yeah. That's what's happening in Canada. And who's to say that they're not going to cross over into the United States? You know how much commerce is here in the United States that crosses over from Canada? A lot. So the CDL mills, they undermine safety. They often skirt the rigorous training standards intended by ELDT, and they can let underqualified drivers slip through. All right? All in the name of cha-ching. That's why there's increased scrutiny and calls for overhauls to prevent misuse of training provided by registries and enforce higher education and quality, right? So what are the processes that migrants have to go through to get their CDL, all right? So they can obtain the CDL legally if they hold a valid employment authorization document or an EAD or an approved CBP I-94 arrival departure record, and that's for non-domiciled CDLs. They still must meet all standards of the FDA training and testing requirements, including passing the ELDT and being listed as a trainer-provided registry. Now, certain states are different. They may require that a CDL applicant be a legal permanent resident of nationals, but that's not going to matter if they can just go to another state and do it, right? So the EID or asylum holder can qualify for non-domiciled CDL. What we got here from Vashnik? Oh, well, Funk Masters, they're definitely crossing over. Oh, of course they are. Yeah, the whistleblower in Kentucky who told on the 2,000 plus driver's license that were getting paid $200 under the table for doing, they fired her for being a whistleblower. What good is there being a whistleblower if you can't be protected, right? So here is the requirements, okay? Blow this up. I did it again. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. Let's see. All right. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. So non-domiciled CLP or non-domiciled CDL means that a CLP or CDL, respectively, issued by state or other jurisdiction under either the following two conditions. One, to an individual domicile in a foreign country meeting the requirements of Section 3.23 B1, or 2, individual domiciled for another state meeting and the requirements of 383.23 B2. Out of service order means a declaration by an authorized enforcement officer or a federal, state, Canadian, Mexican, or local jurisdiction that a driver, a commercial motor vehicle, or a motor carrier operator is out of service pursuant of 386.72, 392.5. You guys can read that. Or compatible laws or North American Uniform out of service criteria. So what you're telling me is that if you're in Mexico or in the United States or in Canada and you get this particular CLP or CDL, you can pretty much drive wherever. So how exactly are we going to fix that, right? Because the common pathway involves applying for a work visa, a green card, or asylum, and then meeting the training and state DMV criteria. And then practitioners note that trucking schools typically require a legal residency and a valid state driver's license to even enroll. And that's here in the United States. But what about in Canada? What about Mexico? You know, that's probably... I'm going to look into that, and maybe next week I'll do a follow-up on exactly how that works in Canada and Mexico, right? So the next question is, what controversies have come up that have been created by the CDL mills, all right? Because the FBI recently busted a scheme in Florida where over 600 individuals, all right, were largely Russian-speaking immigrants, receive CDLs without proper training via fake or illegal operations. Let me go ahead and pull this up for you.
a shadow over the Department of Motor Vehicles. A scheme of epic proportions has been discovered, where hundreds, perhaps more than 1,000, driver's licenses, some even commercial, were traded for bribes. The culprits? 2 DMV employees, Vansili Velasco and Demetrius Smith, who were issuing an unusually large number of licenses. The plot was so extensive that one of them conducted 295 road tests in a single month. A striking contrast to the typical 20 to 25. This wasn't a case of minor shortcuts. It was a blatant act of corruption, where safety evaluations were skipped in exchange for bribes. The scheme may have been active for as long as 3 years, with a staggering $120,000 seized from the residences of the accused.
Wow.
To make matters worse, the investigation revealed that individuals from across Florida were being referred to the corrupt employees through third-party intermediaries, one of whom was the franchise owner of Cuba Max, a company processing immigration documents. As the investigation continues, more charges and arrests are expected.
Who is that guy? That's funny. But anyways, this is another problem, right? How much do these people make at the DMVs? What, like $15, $16 an hour? Maybe some overtime. This is the perfect opportunity, especially when you look at the last couple of years with all the migrants that have flooded through. What exactly do you do about that? Of course there's going to be corruption. If there's going to be corruption even at the lowest level, what makes you think that it's not going to make its way up at the top if it takes this long for people to come in and actually finally putting a spotlight on it? Because these mills, they raise safety concerns, right? They undertrained drivers increase the risk of accidents, especially if they can't fully read signs or respond in emergencies. They also question the integrity of the FMCSA training providers and their registry, which can be gamed or unsupported by oversight. The prevalence of non-domiciled CDLs in states like California and in Texas suggests lax oversight, enabling circumventing or stricter domicile-based regulations. So it's not just the red state, or the blue states, it's the red states as well. So this is happening all over the place. Such controversies have renewed calls for reforms to eliminate cash for CDL practices, enforcing training mandates and mandate verification before issuance. Well, where was this? I mean, I can't just walk into a company and be like, hey, can I drive this 18-wheeler? Absolutely not. I have to pay thousands of dollars and thousands of, not thousands of hours, thousands of dollars inside of a vehicle before they even let me take it out on the road. All right, so this is from Luke Graywolf on the Timcast IRL show, who had called in. And I'm guessing is a trucker. I'm not exactly sure. I tried to get him on my show tonight, but it was probably not enough time. But he has a lot of insight on this. So let's take a look.
One nearby, but there aren't many Cracker Barrels that have truck parking. And so I guess that's kind of my question. My industry's been in the news a lot lately, and it kind of burns me a little because nobody really seems to know anything about it. I guess to give a little quick cliff notes, most of your truck drivers you see on the road, especially in these shadier companies, none of them are employees. They're all contractors running 1099, and that's part of how a lot of this shadiness goes on. And a lot of
kind of reminds you of Uber, like Uber and Lyft. I mean, I remember during the pandemic, I didn't lose my job, but I got furloughed, so I had to make money somehow. So I did Instacart and I did Uber I'm sorry, not Uber, Lyft. And anytime I'm going into any kind of hub, say for like an airport, bus station, or whatnot, the amount of there were like no Americans there. There was nobody. It was all foreigners. Every single one of them. And it made me wonder. I was like, I know you're not from here. So how exactly are you getting this opportunity through all the regulations that they have? Because I have to follow a lot of different regulations. I mean, it took me damn near 3 weeks in order to be able to drive on the road. With sending my insurance information, I had to send my license, I had to send my social security, I had to send all this stuff in. So how exactly are they getting past that and being able to drive on the road? Let's continue.
The companies that hire them aren't even real American companies. A lot of them are ran by organizations overseas, Russia, Pakistan, India, and they have shell offices, usually in apartments, like Elk Grove, Illinois, or out in California or Florida. And God, if you only knew how bad things actually are. Like this wild fatality wreck that everyone's talking about in Florida. Wrecks like this happen every week, but they never get talked about outside of trucking YouTube.
They don't. They don't get talked about. We're going to go over that in a second.
The trucking industry. So I guess my question is this momentum going to stay up? Are people going to keep paying attention to this? Or is my industry just going to keep spiraling and getting worse?
I mean, I can't predict the future, but I hope that people are going to pay attention. I hope that this is a turning point. I hope that the administration is going to continue to do things like they're doing and more severe, to be honest with you, but continue to do things like take the license of companies that hire illegals. I think that there needs to be significant increase in the amount of pressure that businesses are under if they're hiring illegals.
Absolutely. And not just hiring any migrants, because I mean there are migrants that are qualified to drive a truck. But people that are crossing the border illegally, you have to remember, you have to go back, right? You have to go back about 6-7 years when all those people were saying, hey, why are all these military-aged men running across the border? I thought that this was, I thought they were running away from tyranny. I thought they were running away from, remember that talk? And now all of a sudden it's all starting to come to light, right? It's all about this. The mills, get as much money as you can and then take off. Because they don't want to pay people like us, because they know they're going to have to pay pensions, they're going to have to pay insurance for themselves and their families. They're going to have to, possibly have a structured pay scale on how many years you've been on the road. It's a lot of money to hire a driver. So what do you do to skip around that? Find people that come through and say, hey, we're going to pay you about 50-60% of what we would normally pay a driver. But guess what? That's like 5-6 times the amount that they make in their own countries. So that makes you wonder, right? Because if I had the ability to do that, I think my camera's going off. There we go. I think it would probably cost about $200,000 to $250,000 a year for an experienced driver to get loads from here to there, working, tirelessly 40 to 50 weeks a year, right? So why do that when you could pay somebody 40% less who's going to work all year round, regardless of how sick they are, how tired they are? But then you add on top of that They can't read the signs. They don't understand English or don't understand how to speak with the people when they go to the certain locations, right? It's just, hey, I've got what I've got here in the truck. Here you go. Sign off on this and have a good day. So let's look at some of the issues that we've had over the past couple years.
Video circulating online shows the shocking view from inside a semi as a minivan slams into the trailer and wedges underneath. Troopers say that driver, 28-year-old Harjinder Singh, had just made an illegal U-turn, cutting across the Florida Turnpike in Fort Pierce last Tuesday. The move left his big rig blocking all northbound lanes. The minivan had no time to brake. All 3 people inside from Broward and Miami-Dade counties were killed. Singh is now charged with 3 counts of vehicular homicide. He's being held in the St. Lucie County Jail with an ICE detainer, meaning he'll be deported after his criminal case.
Put his ass in jail. What do you mean he's going to be deported and then what? Go and do that somewhere else? That's 3 lives that are gone. And that's just in one instance. Would you guys like another? Let's look it up. This is from First Alert 4. Trucker charged in fatal crash near Sullivan, now in ICE custody, bond revoked. Franklin County, Missouri. This was back in March 7th of 2025. Truck driver prosecutors say is responsible for fiery crash that killed Sullivan. Woman is now in the custody of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, according to court records. Manpreet Singh is charged in the March 2024 crash on I-44 that killed Edith McKee, 59. He faces 1 charge of first-degree involuntary manslaughter. Officials of Missouri State Highway Patrol said Singh was behind the wheel of a semi-truck heading westbound on I-44 in Franklin County when it veered off the roadway and plowed through cable barriers into the eastbound lanes. Both McKee's vehicle and the semi immediately caught fire. McKee was pronounced dead at the scene. Singh suffered minor injuries. The Missouri State Highway Patrol officials say that Singh fell asleep behind the wheel. First Alert 4 also uncovered troubling history of phone usage behind the wheel, according to Singh's social media. Next, semi-driver in deadly Colorado highway crash is illegal immigrant who was deported from the U.S. multiple times, says ICE. The man accused of wrecking a semi along the highway in Colorado last week, and this was, what's the date? I want to make sure I get it right. This is June 18th of 2024. Person after injuring Colorado State, killing one person and injuring another, is an illegal immigrant who has a long history of removal from the United States, authorities said. Ignacio Cruz Mendoza, 47 of Mexico, is facing reckless driving and homicide-related charges in connection to June 11th crash. Mendoza was hauling a load of steep pipe on Highway 285 near Confere, where he lost control of the semi, sending it rolling into the side as it veered off the road, Colorado State Patrol said. Think I'm done? Absolutely not. Angelina County, Texas, yesterday, previously deported illegal alien Jose Ubina Lopez was arrested to fail to stop the render aid collision involving death, along many other charges. He's accused of driving his truck completely through a residence, killing 70-year-old homeowner Robert Boyles. That's insane. So to say that this doesn't happen all the time, it does. And I don't know exactly how you fix this problem. I mean, I know that Congress is going to have to do something about it, but I really don't know if Congress has the cojones to do it. But at least we know that there's at least some type of federal response, right? So let's see here. So what measures are being taken to minimize mistakes on the road by the Trump administration? All right. So an executive order, President Trump mandated that English proficiency in all commercial truck drivers, a move aimed at road safety and ensuring comprehension of signage and communication with authorities. All right. And then, of course, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy publicly warned state DMVs, if you can't speak our national language and read our road signs, you are not qualified to drive a truck. States not following federal rules are on notice. All right, so this is from Eric Daugherty on X. Secretary Marco Rubio just froze all ensuing worker visas for commercial truck drivers after illegal alien drove from California and killed 3 in Florida by making an illegal U-turn, unable to read English. The increasing number of foreign drivers operating a large tractor-trailer truck on the U.S. roads is endangering American lives and undercutting the livelihoods of American truckers. All right, this is from Fox News. Oh, did I just... Give me a second here. Wink. There we go. Rubio pauses worker visas for truck drivers after deadly Florida crash involving illegal immigrant. Let's see. Increasing number of foreign drivers operating large tractor trailers in U.S. roads is endangering American lives and undercutting the livelihoods of American truckers. So Marco Rubio, effective immediately, we're pausing all issuance of worker visas and commercial truck drivers. The increasing up, yep. Let's see. Concerns about foreign workers driving commercial trucks began after Harjinder Singh, 28, entered illegally driving a commercial truck. That's in Florida. I mean, it's clear. It's clear that there's an issue here, right? And if it's much easier for them to get a license and just drive on the road than it is for me, I see that as a problem, not just for safety, but also for the job market. Because what you're saying is you're willing to harm American citizens just to make a buck so that this bigger company can make more bucks. I can see that in Central America. I can see that in Asia. I can see that in Africa, but not here. We don't play that game. And it's about time somebody did something about it. That was Constitutional Corner. All right, folks. Well, I had fun tonight. Just want to make sure that you guys go out to riseofmiddleamerica.com. That's where we got all our shows, history, news, sports, true crime, you name it. It's all there. You can go down, you can see all of our ugly faces. And then, of course, if you want to go ahead and support us, you can go here to the ROMA Nation Network merch channel. That's where we have all of our merch. Or you can go down to the PayPal link here where you can make a monetary contribution to help us keep the lights on. We got documentaries coming along the way. We've got a wrestling show along the way. We got a conspiracy show coming. Dude, things are getting wild over here. All right. I definitely want to thank you guys for watching tonight. We will see you next week, which will be the last week before the NFL season starts. We'll be talking about that a lot next week on Roma Sports. That's on Wednesday nights, 10:30 p.m. But if you want to know what else we have, every Monday through Thursday, we got Sunset Rants. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then, of course, on Tuesday nights, we got the Drive-In, our critically acclaimed pop culture show. Wednesday nights, again, that's Roma Sports. Thursday nights are going to be the conspiracy show, The Fringe. And then, of course, on Friday at 8 p.m., we've got FAFO Friday with Fluffy Hobo. And then, of course, yours truly right after the show, AK with ROMA Nation. You can find me right here on X at @TheRealRoma_AK. Only got one subscriber, Raw. One subscriber. Let's see if we can make that 10. All right. I'm going to say it now. The next 10 people that subscribe to me will get $100 of merch. All right, so like, comment, and subscribe. Let's see what the audience has to say before I go. Once they're gone, will this count towards creating jobs? In the inverse, I guess. Yeah, probably. The Raiders! Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Yes, thank you, Hardy. Bye, everyone. Funk Master with Detroit. I hope they make it. Catch you next time. Absolutely. All right. Once again, like, comment, subscribe. RiseOfMiddleAmerica.com. Thank you very much, and I will see you soon. Next week. Peace out.
Hustle in my veins, no rest, no dream, trying to make a way. Whole team gotta eat. No sleep, gotta keep going. No sleep, till the world know it. No sleep, till the world know it. No sleep, till the world know it. I've been moving like a clock, don't stop, no breaks, no rest, no time to flop. Gotta get it while I'm breathing, never taking a loss. See the pain in my eyes, but the vision stay locked. Ain't nobody finna hand me a thing. Came from the bottom, I rose through the rain. Hustle like I never had a meal on my plate. Now we eating so good that the hunger remains. Fast lane, never slowing my pace. Tell them I was built for the chase. Every night trying to double my worth. Put my name in the sky, make it shake up the earth. Oh, I ain't getting no sleep till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Late nights turn to early moans. Put the work in till the break of dawn. They was sleeping on the kid, now they call my phone. Now the city know my name, I've been putting them on. Ayy, tunnel vision when I step on the field. Gotta keep it real, never sign no deal. Independent, gotta get it, never needed a cosign. When the world told me wait, I was like, no time.